Good morning, everybody. I'm State Representative Paul Costa from Allegheny County, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Representative Mark Mustio, Representative Jim Christiana, Representative Jazwiak from Berks County, and Representative Billy Courts, also from Allegheny County. We're here today to talk about video gaming terminals, more commonly known as VGTs. For those of you who don't know what a VGT is, if you've ever been to a bar or a tavern and you see these video games that are set up on the side and people put money in them and they play them, well, as long as they don't pay out, it's legal. But if they have a knockoff button and they are paying out, it's an illegal machine. There are, according to the casinos that we had at a public hearing last year, they claim that there's 40,000 illegal machines that are out there. What we are trying to do is make them legal, make them legit, and at the same time generate revenue for the Commonwealth and also for our local bars and taverns and for small businesses. That's what this is all about. I don't begrudge anything that the casinos are interested in getting. God bless them. They've been good to our Commonwealth. I have no argument about that. But my issue is that we need to help small businesses and small, our mom and pops, bars and taverns and restaurants and our local fraternity organizations, our local fire departments, anyone who has a liquor license would be eligible to receive, to make these machines legal. But today we are here to talk about what those machines do and how they work and what's going on in our state. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Representative Jazwiak, who's going to talk to us now.
Good morning. I just have a few comments. I was asked to speak on this topic from a law enforcement perspective, which is my background. With that in mind, people say, you know, there's gambling going on all over the state, and law enforcement is aware of this issue, but law enforcement looks to enforce high priority crimes such as organized criminal activity, murder, rape, robbery, home invasions, illegal drug activity. That's just to name a few, which these are far more problematic than gambling machines in bars and clubs. Illegal gambling machines are in clubs and bars are not enforced, or they are enforced from time to time. However, as I said, it's not a top priority. If the General Assembly approves this legislation, it would remove the responsibility to enforce some of the gambling laws and allow law enforcement to concentrate their efforts and resources on more serious crimes to protect the citizens of Pennsylvania. I personally would like to see a small number of machines allowed in establishments to prevent this activity from becoming a main focus in any single establishment. This would allow the operators of the clubs, bars, and fire companies to receive legal revenue from the use of these machines. Illegal gambling goes on daily in Pennsylvania. It is time to change the system to control some of the gambling and allow the state to receive additional revenue without increasing income or sales tax on the people of Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. He brought up a good point about the machines that are out there already. As I said, the casinos themselves admit that there's over 40,000 illegal machines that are out there today. But they also make the same argument that if this would become law, we would be cannibalizing their industry. Well, if it already exists, how can it cannibalize something? It's not something that's brand new. This has been out there, and it's been out there for a long time. I've been doing this for a long time. I think like 15 years now I've been trying to do this. And if it wasn't for Representative Mark Mustio and Representative Kurt Mauser, I don't believe we would have gotten this far. They've been great supporters. But the argument that I make all the time, or at least I try to make all the time, is when I was younger in the 70s, people used to book numbers. They based it off the stock market. And it was going on in every community, at least where I grew up, it was going on. And then the state in the 70s took it over. It became the Pennsylvania Lottery. The Pennsylvania Lottery benefits, as Gus, the second famous groundhog, will tell you, benefits senior citizens and other programs. We get the PACE program, the PACE-NET, the property tax and rent rebate program. Seniors and handicapped people ride buses for free. There's a lot of positive benefits that came out of the state taking over an illegal activity and taking control of it. We're in the same situation that today that we were back in the 70s. We have an opportunity to legitimize an industry that is going on right now, and at the same time, the Commonwealth can benefit with anywhere from $400 to $500 million a year that we could generate to help not only the Commonwealth's general fund, but again, as I said earlier, is our small businesses, our bars, and not only our bars, but also our local volunteer fire departments and our organizations. And here to speak about that is Representative Bill Courts.
Thanks, Paul. Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to stand here today in support of legalizing the VGTs in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. As Paul mentioned, I have a number of American Legions, VFWs, volunteer fire companies, mom and pop taverns, all through the Mon Valley, and many of them have the slot machines in there. They're there now. They've been there. Like Paul said, they've been around for a long time, and in these organizations, it helps them pay their electric bill. I mean, let's be honest about it. Some of the American Legions and VFWs, they're hurting. They're hurting in the fire companies. So this is the right thing to do. And we're only talking about 5 machines per establishment, okay? The other part that I think hasn't yet been brought up today is that we're talking 2 different clienteles. The clientele that goes in that American Legion, a lot of them are veterans, right? They want to be with their buddies. They walk down to the bar, their neighborhood bars. They walk into the American Legion, the VFW, they sit there, they want to talk with their buddies. They're not going down to the casino. So we're talking 2 separate clienteles, casino clientele and the other clientele that's in the taverns and bars that are in the little neighborhoods in the Mon Valley. 2 different clienteles. They're not going down to casinos. And if for some reason they would take all the machines away, if they could do that, these guys are still not going down to casinos. They want to sit in there and they want to talk with their friends. That's the bottom line. So we're not asking for a lot. Look, I'm all for the casinos too. I want to see them prosper. I want to give them the iGaming, everything that's in the Omnibus Amendment, the slots at the airport. I want to see them prosper. I'm ready to vote for it. We're just asking for peanuts. We're asking them to allow us to put these 5 machines in these places where they're at now. A lot of them have them now. So with that being said, I'll turn it back over to Paul. Thank you.
Thank you, Billy. We were also joined this morning by Representative Jim Marshall from Beaver County, right? And speaking of Beaver County, these 2 gentlemen had a great announcement this morning. The cracker plant is finally coming to Pennsylvania, so good luck. Yeah. And that's great news, great opportunity for our Commonwealth to have construction jobs over the next 5 years, and then hopefully a lot of spin-off jobs. So congratulations to you 2 from Beaver County. One more thing I'd like to address. Last year, I think it was last year, there was a letter that was sent out by the casinos from Pennsylvania claiming that Illinois, that 9 out of their casinos had dropped, I guess what you want to call profits. And they cited that it was the video gaming machines. But it was interesting that they went back to 7 years prior to when the video games even started to be legal. So they said that had an impact. They never mentioned that the casinos at the same time frame that they used, that they stopped smoking at the casinos. They never mentioned that in their impact. And they also never mentioned that across the Commonwealth, monies are dwindling a little bit from the casinos. But they tried to blame it on the VGTs, and I don't believe that that was accurate. So I was kind of disappointed about that. So anyway, so as I said earlier, Representative Mark Mustio and Representative Kurt Mauser have been incredible allies in trying to move this legislation forward. As I said, I've been doing this probably since 2000. I got here in 1999, and I've been trying to legalize this since around 2000. We've come close a couple times, but I believe that now, again, with the support of Representative Mustio and Mauser, we would never even have gotten this far. So I'd like to introduce Representative Mark Mustio. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Representative Costa and I have worked on other issues before. Several years ago, he and I were on a different side of a liquor privatization issue, but we took a trip, I think, that we, Paul, to Washington State. And last year, Paul went to Illinois to investigate VGTs and the impact that they've had, the positive impact that they've had on the state of Illinois. He came back and said, Mark, you really should take that trip. And I did. And after I got back from that trip was when we received the letter from the casinos. And every sentence in the letter that they wrote was correct and factual. But the causation and the result was a deception. Anytime that happens to me, I guess, motivates me to get more involved in an issue and really research it and check on the facts. Yesterday, we received a similar letter from the Meadows. They tried to do the same tactic, going back to 7 years before VGTs actually started to take operation in Illinois. And it's just a real shame. So I offer that to you today, and I would like you to go away from this press event today with 3 things. First, challenge the casinos on everything that they say. And I also would encourage you to go to the Illinois Gaming Board website and the Pennsylvania Gaming Board website. We need to diversify our business to capture more of the market with less reliance on the evolving brick and mortar casino operation. If you look at this map, if we had a state of Illinois here, you'd see the same thing. Casinos are popping up everywhere. You know, one of the things the casino supporters say is, well, they're our partners. Well, I'm in business in addition to being a state representative, and I have a partner, several partners. Partners work together to improve their business. The casinos in Pennsylvania are working with other partners in other states that are having a negative impact on the revenues of our casinos. And you can witness that by looking at the Pennsylvania Gaming Board website. The third thing I'd like you to take away from today is that the only partner we have are the taxpayers. And we're interested in promoting Main Street, not Wall Street. Why do the casinos cannibalize themselves? Greed. I'm interested in being greedy for the taxpayer of Pennsylvania. Based on the information that we've been able to gather, reports that have been commissioned, it's estimated that Pennsylvania is missing out on $1 billion in revenue, which translates, once fully enacted, to roughly, including fees, $400 million a year to the general fund. That's VGTs only. We hear comparisons to Illinois all the time. But the reason Paul and I went to Illinois, it was a great pilot program that we didn't have to go through in Pennsylvania. We found out what they did wrong that hurt their casinos. The biggest drawback to the casinos in Illinois was the ability for local liquor licenses to be issued for facilities called cafes. You walk into a cafe, you see 4 or 5 muffins, a bottle of bourbon, and 5 video gaming terminals. We do not permit that in the legislation that we are pushing in Pennsylvania. That had a tremendous negative impact. It's projected, and I'm not going to be naive, is there going to be cannibalization? Sure. To this degree? No. It's estimated at 5.2%. Representing the taxpayers of Pennsylvania, I'm willing to put up $80 million of revenue to collect $400 million every year for the Pennsylvania taxpayers. I think that's a wise investment. And I put this to you, I suspect the casinos would do the same thing. I want to be greedy for the taxpayers. There's a lot of missed opportunity here. Remember, in this same legislation, the casinos get what I would call, the racetrack casinos get what I would call would be mega cafes. Each racetrack gets 4 locations with 250 machines each. That's 6,000 additional machines. So by going to Illinois, we learned that we don't want to put the cafes here. We want to make sure that the restaurant, bar, tavern, club still has their primary focus of business, but they have an ancillary opportunity to capture revenue from people like me. I don't go to casinos and gamble, but you know what? I probably would put 20 bucks in my local VGT at my local restaurant. Why do we need to diversify our business? We need to diversify, as any business does, to make sure we capture more revenue, to make sure that we protect the Pennsylvania taxpayers from what's going on here. The casinos want to be our partners when they want all these additional things that are in this legislation. But they don't want us as a partner to succeed. We want, as representatives, we should want the Pennsylvania taxpayers to succeed, and this legislation will do that. Let me give you a more simple example. Dunkin' Donuts. I don't eat donuts. I know I look like I eat donuts, but I don't eat donuts. So I am never going to have the opportunity to go into Dunkin' Donuts and be sold to buy some coffee. So they're missing out on an opportunity to sell me coffee. But you know what? I was in Giant the other day. I could buy Dunkin' Donut coffee off the shelf. So they found a way to get to me. Now, does the local franchisee say, well, what the heck, I'm not going to be able to sell that guy coffee? Well, you know what? He never was going to sell me coffee because I was never going into that store for donut. That's all we're saying. We want, and that's a simple example, is that we want other opportunities to get revenue for our general fund. That's all we're asking, and it's very simple. But we have these mega billion-dollar corporations that are saying no. No to the taxpayer. They'd rather see PIT than VGT. Why? Because they're greedy. I don't want to be in partnership with somebody like that. I want to be in partnership with the taxpayers of Pennsylvania. Just as they've chosen to go into business with others in other states, we should choose to go into business with others too. Businesses that have been in our state many generations, some of the businesses, that have partnered with us aren't going anywhere, aren't opening up operations in other states since the 1930s, right? Think about it. That money that goes into that local tavern, restaurant, bar, club is going to stay locally in that community. That VFW is going to be able to give more money to help sponsor local charities, going to be able to probably have a better Veterans Day ceremony and service because we did something positive in Pennsylvania that these guys are trying to stop. That's why it should be Main Street instead of Wall Street. Greed for Pennsylvania residents and taxpayers, not greed for this. Look at this. If we had more time, we'd have put the years so you'd know when they all started to pop up. But I know we can get into a lot more detail, and those of you that want to talk more about it, I have a couple hours we can sit down in my office and go over it. But I challenge you, make sure you get specific details. And if they try to tell you one thing, please come to me for verification. I'd be happy to help correct the record. Polly, I'll turn it back over to you for any questions.
With that, we would be more than happy to take any questions. Come on, that was too easy. Anyone else have anything else they want to add? Well, if there's no other,
Okay, thank you.
thank you very much.